I think we're about ready. Yep. So we'll get that going. We'll get this going. And I think now, right? We fade right over to here. And this is going to be a black screen for a second because something that I've noticed about cattle and crops is unless something is happening on the screen, OBS can't really hook into it, right? So we good now? We up and running? There it is. Right. Hey, if anybody is in the chat right now, let me know how my voice is. Let me know how my audio is because I've had some audio problems the past couple days. All right. What is going on? From top to bottom. So I did get all the tutorials done, right? I got all 51 tutorials done and we have all our certificates now. And that has unlocked the first scenario. This is the one that we did last episode. This scenario unlocked this scenario. This is the one we're going to do today, and then so on down the line. The other thing, I do have Track IR going today. We're going to use Track IR. That's going to be fun. I got some mods installed. We're not going to be using them today, but I do have some mods going. That's very cool. And for settings, for graphics settings, graphics. Yeah, we're here right now. So what I did was I went to custom, and I'm told these three values right here, these three distances, if you set them to 100, that works out really, really well for a nice compromise between graphical quality and frame rate. But apparently these distances can really beat up your frame rate. So, yep, got those backed off. And I'm trying to think what else. Settings, Track IR. I want to try to stay first person the entire episode. I want to try to use IC as much as possible for the entire episode. So we're going to see how it all goes. All right, and I hope my audio is okay. I can't hear it, so I hope you're hearing me in the chat. If we get going, maybe when a couple more people get in here, we'll evaluate a little bit and make sure everything's working properly. Okay, here we go. And the game has been holding up. It's been really stable. I've found I haven't had any crashes other than, I think once maybe, trying to hop in from OBS. It did crash, but I think that might be more of an OBS thing than a cattle and crops thing. Surprisingly stable. More stable than it has been in the past. Right. And I'm going to turn my headset down a little bit. Audio. It's all over the place. Okay. Professor Farmstein says, depending on the weather and the grassland type, a farmer can harvest this between 2 and 6 times a year, either as grass silage, hay silage, or even hay. For grass silage, the grass is just wilted. Hay silage is hay that is not quite dry and is therefore silaged. Hay, on the other hand, is extremely dry, and it is this harvest I want to show you in this scenario. Good luck. All right, Professor. So we'll get settings dialed. Let's get rid of that. We'll get settings dialed for Track IR throughout the episode, and I really hope you can hear me. I really hope you can hear me. Okay, so for Track IR, and we might go third person for this. No, it doesn't do anything third person. So first person only. So this is head movement using Track IR, right? This is body movement using the joystick, the thumbstick. And then this is like axis movement, walking. So I guess what I'm saying is if I look this way and push the stick forward, we walk the direction our body is pointed, not that our head is pointed. So that may take a little getting used to, but hopefully not too bad. Okay, drive the Klaas, Arian, and mower to the first grass field. You got it. And I'm going to do my best to use IC as much as possible. So we're going to open the door. We're going to hop in. We're going to close the door, right? And then we want to, it's back here. Yep, there is, you turn the cursor on and use the left thumbstick. So what you may see from time to time is the left thumbstick is also controls the view. Release parking brake. There we go. So you get what I'm saying. We're going to have to sort out Track IR, right? Let's get around here. All right, somebody else in the chat. Is my voice okay? Can you hear me? I don't know if you can or not. All right, and then we're going to back this up. All right, right like so. Right about there. Right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I've been fighting. I've been fighting with audio for a couple days. Oh, it's this stream life, yo. All right, and I have to say this is the most that I have ever been first person in any farm sim ever. I typically prefer drone cam, but I thought with track IR and this being a new sim, kind of a new game, let's go ahead and try it first person, and let's try to stay first person and IC for everything for the whole episode. We'll give it a try. Right, so we want to turn not here, but the next one. I mean, could we turn here? No, it's more over there. Okay. And I'm also noticing our frame rate is down in the high 20s right now. We're at 29, 30 FPS, but I did go to the ultra setting and then back down those other two values. I don't know. I'm not liking 20s. I prefer 50s and 60s. All right. So we'll make our turn here. I think it is going to take a little getting used to, and as far as getting all the graphics configured and everything, with them saying they're going to make some improvements, and I guess that is coming from one of the developers proper. Developer is saying they're going to focus on optimizing the game and performance before anything else. So as we get those improvements in, see how the game plays. Okay. Professor Farmstein says, as you can see, it's only a small area and it'll be quick to mow. In practice, the grass would be cut from the inside out. Start in the center of the field and work your way outwards. That way, any wild animals or birds can escape, for example, out into the next forest. That is very cool. We going to do that? Mow the field. Let's get rid of this. Okay, they're really leaving it up to us how we want to do this. So let us, this is long ways on the field. So let's come over here. We're going to start unfolding back there behind us. And let's see if we can, this is going to be tricky in first person, but it may give it to us. So if we go here now, I can't even see it. So we want to boost this up a little bit. We want to go here. So we can see it a little better. Oh, you know what? Hang on. Let's reset this. Let's close this for a minute and put it back in gear. And now when we open this, now it's in front of us. Okay. So we do have the offset. We can see that, and now we'll raise this. There we go, up above the grass. All right, and it does have our offset calculated. All right, let's just do it. We'll see how this goes. So we'll lock in auto track steering, right? We'll turn our mower on. Okay. We'll lower. All right. And cruise control. Way too fast. No? What's that all about? Typically we get like a 5 mph setting. No, that's something's not working. So something's not working if it's trying to send us through here at that speed. All right, there we go. Let's just calm down a little bit. I'm enjoying the first person, and I'm enjoying it with track IR as well. This is the most that I think ever played a farm sim in cap. All right, so when we get over here now, bring that right about there. So we'll lift that, and I'll drive through some little bushes right here. And let's get turned around. Now when he said we want to work from the inside out, well, we didn't quite go down the center of the field. Would we be over here somewhere? Yep, that's the one we want, right there. Did that turn off? Nope, still on. Okay, so we'll turn that off, and we'll get this lowered. There we go. This game is so much slower and more methodical than Farm Sim. It lends itself to a slower, what I'm finding to be a slower play style. And the best way I can describe it is it feels like you're doing things. And I don't want to get down on Farm Sim. I've enjoyed that game. I've played it for years, and I've enjoyed it. I plan to continue playing it. But this is definitely, I don't know, man. It's a move in a different direction. It's like the difference between Forza and a proper race sim. You know, they're both fun, but one is just really different than the other. All right. And I don't think there is collision on these trees, but I don't want to abuse that too badly. As much as possible, I want to try to be mindful of the trees, not drive straight through them. All right. So right about in here somewhere, right about there. So we'll lift that. I think we can make it around that. Barely. Okay. So now, next one will be here. One more. That's the one I want right there. All right. I don't know what's going on with the cruise control. I know, well, just as a test, let's go third person for a second. Moment. There it is. And if we do, yeah, it gives us 15 kilometers per hour. That feels really fast for a mower. Does it not? Would a mower ever go that fast? Oh, maybe. But I think 10 is more our speed for this field. All right, and if you see the camera swinging around like that, that's me looking around my office. I'm trying to keep it to a minimum. All right. Yeah, we started a bit off center, but I'm telling you, man, first person, I'm so used to that drone cam where you can see absolutely everything. It's a new perspective. All right, so we're gonna lift this right about here. And I just saw something come in. Oh, good for you, man. Yep, I was a part of the Kickstarter program as well. It's a great idea, you know, and it's exactly what I think a lot of us have always wanted a real farm simulator to be versus a farming game. And it's been a long road, but you know what? I'm all about second chances. You know, It's in the past. Any misunderstanding or tension there was between myself and the developers, it's all in the past. Let's just keep moving forward and make this as good a sim as possible. All right. Professor Farmstein says, even though it's only a small area, you'll still need to concentrate because you never know where there might be a fallen branch lurking in the tall grass that you don't want in the feed. Interesting. Now, when that happens, is that going to happen? Are we looking for a tree now? And if that does happen, I don't remember that in any part of the early access. So if we did come to a branch, I don't know how we'd get rid of it. I don't think you can pick things up in Cattle and Crops like you can in Farm Sim. Could be wrong about that, but if we come to a branch, what do we do with it? Unknown. All right, so we will lift that. Get around this tree a little bit more carefully. I'm going to X out of that window as well, so the next one can pop up. I think that's how those work. Right, so if we go here, and then here, get rid of that, get rid of that. I don't know how I feel about this graphics setting. This is Ultra with the 3 distances back down to 100. And I don't know. I was on high setting yesterday with everything just as it goes when you set it to high. No custom settings. But I feel like I liked high with the draw distances raised more than I like Ultra with the draw distances reduced. And also, if we're going first person, we're always going to be looking at more rendered scenery. Whoa. We're always going to be looking at more rendered scenery, right? Because when you're up here, right, there's very little rendered in the frame right now. But when you come down to this angle, you're rendering everything all the way out to the horizon. So if we do switch over to first person exclusively, we're always going to be rendering a little bit more. And that is just naturally going to drop our frame rate correspondingly. So we'll get it dialed. And like I said earlier, if they're planning on improving the game in the not too distant future, we'll be able to bump our graphics settings up as they optimize. All right. So we'll bring this right about here. And then swing this around. And as we get enough distance between these two areas that we're cutting, yeah, we can just do it in one swing. There we go. This is really a lot of fun with Track IR. This feels, the best way I can describe it, as I said earlier, it feels like we're doing something. It's still a video game, obviously. It's just pixels. But it feels like we're participating in a sim rather than just playing a video game. I thought about opening some windows on the tractor, but I'm told that you don't necessarily want to do that when you're mowing, or you just get covered with bits of grass and everything's flying around. And that's something that I would like to see. It's probably not going to happen in this generation of farm games or sim games. Farm games or farm sims, rather. But at some point, I would like to see these sims have all the dust and stuff flying in the air, all the birds that come around when you're sowing a field, right? I always see videos, there's that big flock of birds that follows behind the seeder. I would love to see that brought in. I like the birds in 19, but I feel like they don't do what birds in farm fields do. But yeah, all that stuff will happen in time. The things that we're seeing in video games now in 2020 are the things that we dreamed about seeing in video games in like 2005 and never thought we would. And now a lot of the stuff is just a part of every single game. All right, here's our guy. In practice, attention needs paying to the correct cut height when mowing. Mow too high and the feed stays in the meadow. Too low and it's difficult for the grass to sprout and grow again. 7 centimeters, 7 centimeters or around a hand's breadth is ideal. Okay, can do that. I've seen things so far in the game. They're talking about the spacing of rows on a planter. They're talking about how deep seeds need to go, like how deep seeds need to be planted. And I haven't seen any way to adjust that. So right now when it's talking about how high the mower is that something we can adjust? All right, let's go third person again. If we go here and we go to our wheel, is that something we can, that folds it, that raises it, right? I think that folds those as well. I don't know if there's a way to set that to the 7 centimeters that he was talking about, or if that's more just sort of basic information for future reference. Unknown. All right, before we get started, I'm going to X out of that, and then we'll pull up here, drop that, and here we go. Also haven't seen a lot of this game at night. I did do a test when I first installed it last week. I did a test and drove around at night on ultra settings with all the lights on, and it did okay. I think if anything it did better because it wasn't rendering out to the far horizon. It was only rendering, I would say, within maybe a couple hundred yards of the tractor. But I want to see what the game looks like at night. I hope it looks good. I really like the night lighting in FS19. There's most of the rest of the game I don't really care for, but I do like the nighttime lighting. I think it looks really good at night. All right. Right about there. And we'll keep working around these trees here. Uh-huh. There we go. I thought I'd cleared that. And back up here. Oh, interesting. Okay. Is there something different about the hay if you cut it short that the cows don't like? Is there a reason they don't like to eat it? All right, right about there. Serious Farmers, how you doing? Hey, I saw your sub earlier today. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support. It's a little fast. Let me slow down here. Professor Farmstein says, when mowing, you should also make sure you're using the whole working width of the mower. With the Kloss Disco, that means always driving on the cut grass directly next to the uncut grass. That way you'll cut the grass completely, but also use the whole working width. Is that what we're doing? We are, yeah, we're driving on the cut grass directly next to the uncut grass. Okay. Yeah, the field guidance I'm really pleased with. I would like to see it on the instrument panel maybe, or on this side panel down here, rather than being projected out into space. I find that to be a little bit immersion breaking, but not, you know, it's not that big a deal. But it's really well implemented. We'll make sure we clear the tree this time. Yep, I really smacked into it. that last turn was not my best. All right. Down here. And I'm told that in real life there is guidance steering in tractors in real life, where there are servos that will control the steering and keep it on a certain track. Do I know if it's possible to buy seed and fertilizer at the co-op with a trailer or pallets? I do not, but I'm happy to check it out for you. What we can do, this scenario's I think about half the time to do the one we did yesterday. So what we can do is when we're done with this, I can hop in my sandbox profile, grab a trailer and go down there and see if we can. I know you can store fertilizer at the farm, and if we head back up that way, I'll show you where. So if you can store it loose, I would think maybe you can buy it. I don't know. I don't want to commit to that answer, because honestly I don't know, but I think it would make sense if you could. And I also saw some mods. I've been looking on ModHoster for, whoa, easy. I've been looking on ModHoster at some of the mods that are available, and there was a palette mod, but apparently it's for an early access version of the game, and it doesn't work with v1.0. Drop that. It was an early access version, but I saw some comments that you couldn't use it anymore, you couldn't buy things anymore, so that could correspond to what you're asking. You know, can you buy loose consumables? Yeah, the empty pallets near the grain silo. Unknown. But I am curious myself, because if you can store it at the farm, it would make sense that you could buy it in bulk, take it to the farm, and then fill up your implements there rather than down at the harbor. That is very cool, Alexander. So your cows don't like hay if you pull too much dirt up into it when you're mowing? The stuff fascinates me. It really does. I appreciate all those little pieces of information. All right, so let's get rid of this one so the next one can pop up. And I think, did we lift? We did. So I think the other side of the field is done, and we'll just need to make a couple passes on the far side. Come right down here. Right about there. All right, so that'll finish off this side of the field. We'll head to the other side. Looks like we've got a few more passes, and then I think we're going to get our tedder, right? If we're making hay, that would make sense. I don't know if you've seen the moisture yet, but it's next level. All right, so we're going to raise that. Oh yeah, Serious Farmer, you can definitely empty the seeder onto those pallets, and you can empty the broadcast spreader into one of the bins in your barn, in your shed. Yeah, you definitely can. There's an empty feature next to the cow barn, and also in the grain barn, in the grain shed. So you can definitely empty, but I don't know if you can buy it in. Whoa! I don't know if you can buy it in bulk. That's one thing about the guided steering. It will occasionally grab a course very aggressively and kind of throw the tractor around like that. All right, so we'll drop that. The only thing I don't know about is liquid. I haven't seen any place on the farm where you can store liquid fertilizer. So if you have extra in your sprayer, I don't know if you can store that anywhere. I would imagine that you can. You can load and unload slurry. You can load and unload pellet fertilizer. You can load and unload seed. So I would imagine you can load and unload liquid fertilizer as well. The professor says the best thing about cutting the grass is the smell. The freshly cut scent rises up just like when you mow your lawn in the garden. Glorious. Yep. It's a very nice aroma. All right. So I think now if we continue our methodology, we've only got a couple more passes, but I think we'll now come over here. Is this right? And do this row. Next one, right there. Do this row, and then we'll go back and forth on the outside of this. Drop that. There we go. Yeah, I know that's something they brought into FS19, that you can unload implements. The thing that, because I used to watch a lot of YouTube sim farmers, and I know they would really try to calculate how much fertilizer to buy because it's so terrible to leave fertilizer in a piece of equipment. Not even over the whole winter, but even for like just a few days, it can start to corrode it and just break it down. So being able to take things out of implements, I think, is something that's, I don't know, I feel like it should be a part of every farm sim. But this one even more so because all the seeds are different. It's not just one generic seed, and you switch your planter or your drill or your seeder or whatever. You just switch it over from one crop to the other. You have to get a specific seed per crop. I think that would require that we can unload implements. All right, drop that. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, animals have so much more personality than we give them credit for. I mean, obviously, like dogs and animals that are in our homes, you know, we know they've got a personality, but I think all animals have personalities. Farm animals, all kinds of animals. They've all got their little quirks, right? Nathaniel Lee, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Just like people, right, Alexander? Some people are very particular, other people, not so much. All right, and this will be our last pass. Get that lifted. Swing this around here. And this went really, really well, I think. For first time using track IR, went really well. Glad to hear it, Nathaniel. And that's, yep. Professor says, good job on the first field. Now you have another area of grassland to tackle. All right. We'll finish up here and head over there. And I'm trying to keep the speed down. I mean, the cruise control wants to put us at 15. That seems fast. It seems fast for any type of activity in a field. I think 10 kilometers an hour is way better, but that's just me. All right, so we want to come out here. I got too much going on my screen right now. So we're going to lift this. We're going to turn it off. We're going to fold it. Get rid of that. And I think when you don't have an implement unfolded, oh no, there it is. I was curious about the field guidance, whether it cycled off or cycled on. Let's do this. Let's get up on the road here. And so this isn't fighting us all the way over to the other field. Yeah. First we'll turn it off right there. And then we will, what's that? Yeah, we'll turn that off. Okay. So now we are driving this way. And then over there. All right. Yeah, I'm getting used to the map. It is, I mean, visually it's not, it's a very different look than the farm sim that we're used to. But it's not bad, and it is immersive. And again, as many times as I've said this, it bears repeating. The mechanics of farming in this game, they're so, there's a tremendous amount of depth to it. And I find that the mechanics of farming sort of immerse you in ways that the graphics don't. Did I say that properly? Yeah. Visually, it's not very immersive, but the things that you're doing are very immersive. And I think it's on sale till, is it the 22nd? I want to say it's on sale till the 22nd. So if you haven't picked this up yet, there's a link down below in the description. And I want to say it's like 23 bucks on Steam, 23 US. Well worth it. All right. Mow the second field, field 13. You got it. Right, so this one, I mean, we were a little bit off on the edges of our fields. I'm going to see if I can line that up a little bit better. But to do that, we'll need to be, yeah, let's see how we want to do this. I'm going to go here. Fold out the mower, turn it on, and then mow from the center outwards. You got it. So we're going to go here. I'm going to go here. There we go. I'm going to go here and turn this on. And then we'll reset this to the long side of the field. So we'll come over this way. I think the best way to do this is at the edge of the field, because we can see the whole length of it. So then we'll go, what do we want? We want this, like that. Yep. And then we want to reset. Right? So over this way. There may be a way to just, yeah, there may be a way to just reset this to be right in front of us. How do we want to do this? Because as it gets close, then it hops back over to the right. Yeah, so we want to go that way. Oh, there we go. And like that. I mean, that's pretty close. Does that work? You can even put a whole number in here. Okay. Well, we'll just call it good. That'll have to be close enough. So we'll get rid of this. Turn that on. Get rid of that. We're okay to back up. And we want to be in about the middle of the field. So that'll be right over here somewhere. Right about here? Right about here. Turn that on. And lower. I mean, it looks like there's a little bit of dust coming out the back there. But I know when I watch videos of real farmers, there's always like a tremendous cloud of dust. So many things that they do, there's just a massive cloud of dust around them. Now, admittedly, it would be hard to render that, and it would take a lot of processor power. So I'm not saying like we need to have that in the game straight away. But I think in time, when we can have that, like the birds, right? Like the birds that follow you around. I think that'll be a nice, realistic, and immersive detail. I'm glad they're putting us in long, skinny fields for this, rather than square or irregular. We can make some nice passes. Feel like we're getting something done. All right, so right about here somewhere, right? We'll get turned around. The field guidance does seem to set everything up as far as offset and width and everything else for the implement that you're using. It does seem to set it all up automatically. That could just be for the tutorials and scenarios, and that when we get into career mode, we'll have to do all that ourselves. But for the moment, it's a really almost automatic system. Very seamless. Right, so right about down here. Yep. Right there, right there. Missed the end of that row. This has almost a truck simulator feel to it. I'm not sure why it is so much more, I don't know. It just feels so much more appropriate. Yeah, that's a good word. It feels more appropriate to be first person. Whereas in other farm sims that I've played, drone cam always felt better. This just feels very, very appropriate. Liam, how you doing? Yeah, they've they brought me around. I wouldn't say that I was ever down on the game. I always wanted the game to succeed, but I was very concerned with a lot of the problems they were having in early access, that it was either never going to be done, or if it did get done, that it would be so flawed and so broken that we would never get our realistic farm simulator that we've been wanting for so long. But they won me over. I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far, and it's certainly working for me. And we're not even done with the tutorials yet. Well, technically we are. We've done the tutorials, but we're still completing the scenarios. But yeah, it feels like simulated farming versus a farming game. And we decided to go first person exclusively in this video and use the track IR. And that's not typically how I play a farm sim, but I think it speaks to how much more of a sim this is versus a farming game. And I have to say this again as well. Anytime I refer to farming simulator as a farming game now, I'm not saying that I don't like it or that it's, suddenly not a good game or anything anymore. It's farm sim. It's a great game. I've got tons of hours in it. I expect to have more hours in it in the future. But it is by comparison more of a game than a sim. Nope, I'm on a gamepad. I'm on a Razer Wolverine Ultimate. I don't know why I can't play farm sim with a wheel. I think it's because I have so many compound commands on my gamepad And I've got, I don't know, I've got enough buttons on my wheel, but I feel like I don't have enough to do all the macro commands, like the shoulder buttons and, you know, all the all the different commands that you use in Farm Sim where you're hitting like 4 buttons at once. I just don't have enough for that. And also my shifters are extremely loud, so if I was using those for anything, the stream would be just, it'd be a racket. I have a very loud wheel. All right, the professor's telling me something here, so we'll lift that. Professor says you're managing really well. 2.75 meters. Farmers with larger acreage often hire contractors or buy their own front and rear mower combos. Yep. All right, so we're going to close this out so the next one can pop up. Get rid of that. That is lifted. That is lifted. And then right there. And right there. I also use Gamepad for Truck Sim, which is crazy because I like long trips and I spend a lot of time in ETS and ATS, but I don't use the wheel. And I think the reason is I like to lean back a little bit. That's such a chill game. I like to lean back when I play it, and on the wheel, of course, you can't. But that's, you know, there's lean forward games and there's lean back games. I feel like my racing sims are my lean forward games, and things like Truck Sim, that's a lean back game for me. All right, so right in here somewhere. All right. Flipped around like so. Right about there. Yeah, I haven't seen a ton of mods for this game yet. I saw, since it came out of early access, there have been like 4 posted on Mod Hoster. I'm going to try to get all my Cattle and Crops mods from Mod Hoster. I feel like that's going to be their mod hub, right? In the same way the Giants has the mod hub on the Giants site. I feel like Mod Hoster, as I understand it, Mod Hoster is owned by one of the people that helped build this game or built this game. So I'm feeling like Mod Hoster is going to have the most legit mods, or they'll be, I don't know, the ones you can trust the most. I could be wrong about that. But regardless, I've only seen 4 since the game was released last week. Now, it's only been a few days, but I really thought there'd be more mod support for Cattle and Crops, because this is the serious farm game, the serious farm sim that we've been wanting. I really thought there would be maybe not a ton of mods, but more than 4, you know. So we'll see how it pans out. What I'm told is, or what I've read is, carefully, with FS19 and all the, it's not quite drama, but you know, with them moving the franchise more toward the console player and the casual player, and mods being so much more limited on console, that a lot of modders kind of lost interest in Farm Sim completely and just moved on. So I don't know if they will find their way back to Cattle and Crops instead of Farm Sim, or if they're just done with that type of modding altogether. I know, well, I think FS17 was kind of the high water mark for modding. I feel like that's when there were the most mods, the best mods, and the most sort of comprehensive, in-depth mods, realism mods, that sort of thing. Definitely less for 19, and as far as, you know, where the franchise is going and what modders are going to be able to do for it in the future, we'll find out, I guess. But it seemed like the mod scene had sort of dried up for Farm Sim. And I don't know if they'll make their way to Cattle and Crops. This is a lot of fun, by the way. What we're doing right now, just being able to look back over the shoulder and monitor from inside. Now, in fairness, we are on guidance steering, but it's still, I don't know, it feels like we're doing something. I've said that several times. I'll probably say it several more times. I downloaded a little New Holland forage harvester. I downloaded a set of butterfly mowers, a bigger rake, and what was the other thing? I think there's a cultivator, maybe a slurry injector. Field guidance just took over right there. It says you want to go this way. Hang on, let me read the chat. Yeah, it's, well, again, this is as I understand it. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. I very often I almost know what I'm talking about. But as I understand it, this game was built by like the very serious modders from FS 15 and 17 who wanted to make realism mods for the Farm Simulator franchise, and finally realized at some point the game is never going to be as realistic as we want it to be. We've got to make our own. So I would think with them being modders that the game would be built from the ground up with an understanding that modders can really make a difference for a game, and so that it would be mod friendly. And it could be that the delay between the game going into full retail just a few days ago and waiting for some mods to appear is because modding for this game is a lot more complex than modding for the Farm Sim franchise. I think it's going to be a long time before we see a map because of the AI splines and the way the AI can follow roads and go from place to place. I think it's going to be a minute till we see a map. I think serious modders, the kind of modder who would make a map, may also want to wait until the graphics have stabilized and until the game is, you know, maybe 1 or 2 updates down the road before they start putting a lot of work into a map, knowing that there's a possibility they could have to undo or redo a lot of work. So maybe give it 3 months or 6 months to sort of stabilize before you start a big project. I've seen a couple of mods where the modder gave credit to someone that I know made that mod for the Farm Sim franchise. So it looks like you can bring vehicles. Well, you can at least bring maybe the blender model in. I imagine you'd need to make a ton of changes to make it compatible. I don't think there's an app where you just put a Farm Sim vehicle in one side and it spits a cattle and crops vehicle out the other side. It's obviously much more complex than that, but I've definitely seen some mods that I've known and used in the Farm Sim franchise. I haven't downloaded any of them, but I've seen them with credits on Mod Hoster. And are we getting, yep, we're getting this whole row. So we spotted the center of this field a little bit better than we did the other one, so we were able to split it more or less in half. So that all worked out. All right. So anytime you see the camera drop down like that to the left, that's me looking at my other monitor to see what's going on in the chat. It's a downside to Track IR. You can't look around your office without the camera flying around. All right, so we will lift this right about there. So there was, I want to say it was a Nathan 6930 map, but there was a map and the edges of the fields, it was like the edges of the fields had no boundary. So if you were using a cultivator or a plow or something, normally in Farm Sim there's terrain and then there's soil, I guess is a good way to say it. So when you get to the edge of a field with a cultivator, the cultivator will not affect the soil, or no, I'm sorry, it won't affect the terrain. It will only affect the soil. So you can't make the field any bigger. You can drive around the edges of the field with a cultivator or a plow as many times as you want, but the field will always stay the same size. I've always been curious if any modder or any developer, any Farm Sim developer, would ever make it so that is not the case, that essentially you can, by going over the boundaries of a field. So we're going to lift this, we're going to turn it off, and we're going to fold it. Oh, we got to get rid of this too. So let's set the brake, and we're going to go here, and we will turn this off. There we go. Brake is off. Let's get up to the road here. So by continuing to, I guess, not respect the edges of a field, you would make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And I've noticed that cattle and crops at the moment, that is not the case. I think the reason for that may be AI, both in farm sim and cattle and crops. AI has to know where the edge of the field is, so there has to be, this is the world and this is the field. And one can't become the other, or they would just all sort of blend together. But I would like to have to be careful around the edges of fields so they didn't just get bigger and bigger and bigger. I think that'd be definitely an added challenge. All right, drive back to the farm. We can do that. All right. And how are we doing on fuel? We're okay on fuel. Go to the house. All right, so we will set the brake. We will open the door. I'm going to do my best to remember to do all this stuff. And then we're going to close the door, right? All right. Go to the house. I don't have a run button configured at the minute. I need to add one because we're walking everywhere. We never run. All right, up over the curb. You've already completed the second area. Now you need to wait a day so that both areas of grass can dry out a little. Then the grass in both areas can be tedded evenly so that it can dry out even more. You got it. All right. Time passes. All right. To save time and so you don't have to remove the mower, it is best to switch to using the MB track that is in the machine hall now for the tedding. The tedder, a Klaas Volto 80. All right. So we'll do that. MB track is in here. There's a man door. Here. There's our MB track. And it looks like it needs to be hooked up. So if we come over here, is that close enough? I think it's not quite close enough. Yep. So let's back up a little bit, come around here. All right. Find that tiny little trigger. Hop in. Oh, this is a problem that I have in Flight Sim. Everything moves around a little bit with Track IR, and it's really hard to hit triggers that are tiny like that. Okay. Brake is off. Throw it in reverse. Right about there. All right. Brake again. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do this IC thing all the time because it is definitely slow. Now, does it give us our other marker back here? We're looking for, that's that. Where is, you know the one I'm looking for? It would give us a little, yeah, to do this manually. I'm not seeing it. I'm hunting all over for it. And I'm not seeing that other. Okay. We'll do it from inside. I'm not sure why that's not back there. But so we do that. All right. Interesting. At some point, the engine turned off. Hang on. That is gameplay. Vehicle. Difficulty. Automatic engine start. Okay. I'm not sure why it turned off for us right there. But so it goes. We want to... right there. Alright, let's get out of here. Carefully. Carefully. Doesn't look like we're even going to fit through there. Alright. Here we go. Somebody left a comment. Last video, our AI, we had a cart that was supposed to come service us while we were harvesting corn, and the cart never showed up. And I went and found it. I thought I was supposed to drive it, but as soon as I got in it, it took off with the AI driving it. And the comment that I got was, you parked it too close to a building, and the AI was not able to. Whoa, easy. Just calm down. The AI was not able to get out of the parking lot. So the AI apparently needs a little bit of room to work. And as long as we're mindful of that, they behave a little bit better when you give them room to work. So we'll be aware of that as we continue forward with the game. All right. Drive to the first grass field with the MB track and the tedder. You got it. All right. For the hay to dry as quickly as possible, you need to ted it. The greater the surface area of the grass, the quicker it will dry. While tedding, you can drive around as normal and then down the long tracks. Just make sure you ted as little grass as possible twice, otherwise the grass will be turned the first time and then turned back over the second time. Okay. Take a look at the current moisture levels. I really like this. If you haven't seen this yet, it's next level. It's amazing. So we're going to go over here. So we've got, when you stand on the field and press, is it B? Yep. So, so the first number, the one right in front of us, it's going to be a water drop with an arrow pointing up, 69%. That is the moisture on the surface. And then water drop with the arrow pointing down, that is the moisture on the lower level, like the lower layer. So when we ted this, then it's going to reverse those two. Not entirely, but more or less. It's going to reverse those two. And by repeating that process, we'll hopefully get it dry all the way down to 14%. Now that top number, so again, right in front of us, 4.02 to 4.60 dm cubed per square meter. I don't know what the dm cubed is. I believe that's the volume of a hay bale that we'll get per square meter, but don't quote me on that. I don't know. All right, ted the grass, you got it. So we're gonna hop in here. Now, would this thing have GPS? You could certainly retrofit it, just to keep things simple. I think we will use the field guidance. So we're gonna come over here. And for this, we can drive on the grass, can we not? Yep. So we'll go here. We're going to rotate this a little bit, like so, and then move it over a little bit. And about like, say right there somewhere. All right. Get rid of that. Then we've got to unfold this thing. I really like the animations for folding and unfolding equipment in this sim, and I like that they're very, very slow. Everything in this game happens slowly. Crops are unloaded from combine harvesters slowly, and things fill into trailers slowly. Seed fills slowly. Everything has its own very sort of realistic pace. I like that. Hang on, something just came in the chat. Alexander, I believe that is in the game. that you have different volume of seed that you have to buy for different, obviously for different size fields, but I believe the volume of seed that you get, it goes by both volume and weight. So we'll turn this on, right? It's on. And then we'll lower. There we go. And when we go to cruise control, what do we get? Yeah, it's a little slower. Yep, in Farm Sim, what I'm used to, you only get weight, right? 1,000 kilograms, 2,000 kilograms, whatever. I'm sorry, liters. You only get liters in Farm Sim. Here you get both liters and weight. So it's like you've got volume and mass. And that is, I think all the different consumables in the game, seed, fertilizer, crops, everything, they all have both a volume and a mass. And that is a very cool detail. So off the top of my head, I can't say if the different seeds take up or have different requirements or different masses, but I know the size of the field determines how much seed or how much fertilizer you have to buy, and you can buy exactly that amount. All right, so right about in here somewhere, stop right there, lift that. Let's get turned around. And I know the game does talk about, it does talk about things like depth of seed, like how deep a seed has to be planted. Lower that. But I haven't seen any way to adjust that. So I don't know, like I said, if that's just a detail for us as sim farmers, just a good thing to know, or if that is something that will be added to the game later or included in the game on some level where you do have to take that into consideration. Unknown. Well, this is certainly going a lot faster than the mowing. We will have to, so we saw first pass we were about 70% moisture on top and then about 75% underneath. So that'll be reversed after we get out and check moisture again now, but we'll have to repeat this process several times until it's all the way down to 14%. All right, the professor says the weather needs to be good to make hay. You will achieve the best quality when it is sunny for several days. This dries the hay out well. And also wind and temperature. I want to say there's several factors for how fast your hay will dry. And I'm going to, because of these trees, I'm going to come back around this way. All right, and about like so. Is that right? Is this our third pass? I hope it is. Drop that. Here we go. Yeah, it looks like it's just going to be a much more involved game. Hang on, I got to reset the track IR. No, not like that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We got problems. For some reason, my track IR is resetting down to that really not good place. Oh, interesting. Okay. So you can override your track IR with your thumbstick. I didn't know that. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so everything, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Oh, everything is slow. Everything is slow. So the fact that we would have to turn this grass maybe 4 or 5 times that's just crazy to think about. Oh, and how you doing, my man? We've got two grass fields. We mowed them both, and we are tedding the first one right now. Right about in here somewhere, and we're trying to stay first person all night, and we got the track IR going. The professor says, awesome, now you can get the tedder ready for road transport, and then we can move on to the next field. It's saying that we're done, but I'm going to go ahead and do these last 2 rows just to keep my OCD sorted. Handle the next field in exactly the same way. You got it. And what I'll do is I'll finish this row and the one next to it, and then we'll hop out and take a look at that moisture counter again, so you can see the difference in how the grass is flipped over now, and the drier layer is now underneath. And there's a calendar. Now, I haven't been able to find temperature anywhere as far as forecast. I can see the weather forecast, like sunny, rainy, cloudy, whatever, but I can't see anything as far as what the temperature is supposed to be. I don't know if that's on a separate calendar, but I would think that you would want to know that for when you're going to put seed in the ground. That would seem to be a kind of a critical thing. We're not going to hit this tree. All right, with that, and back up around here. And I think, why does that look, that looks off. Looks like this row is overlapping the other one. I'm just going to trust the field guidance. All right, here we go. Nah, I suppose that's all right. Take a look, third person. Yeah, I suppose that's okay. Yeah, the textures are not great, I have to say, but our frame rate isn't either. So it's one of those things where if the textures were gorgeous, our frame rate would probably be like 7. So it's all a trade-off. All right, so end of this row, we'll get this thing put away and we'll take a look at the field. So we go here, and we're going to turn this off. And we're going to fold it. While that's folding, I'm going to read the chat. Oh, okay. Alexander, you may be able to do that now. There's a lot of adjustability. There's a lot of adjustability in the equipment, but I don't know if the setting that you're talking about is a setting yet. It could be. I don't know. There's a lot of things that you need to remember to set. So that may be in there, but I'd have to take a look to confirm that. Fusion, what is happening? How you doing? We're gonna take a look at the field. So we want to go here. We want to set the brake. There we go. Now we're gonna hop down. So if we go over here now, so before it was like 70% on top, 75% underneath. And now it's 72% on top and 70 underneath. So we'll just keep repeating this process until it's all the way dry. I'm wondering if it lets us, I don't know, save a couple steps, because I think we're like 3 or 4 turns away from having this ready to be rowed up and baled. All right, and I have to turn this off so it doesn't keep, right, get rid of that, get rid of that. Brake is off, and we're going between these bushes. Yep, between these bushes and around. Yeah, Alexander, the way the game is talking about different crops that need to be planted, different spacing, the rows need to be different widths, and some crops need to be this deep in the soil. Other crops need to be that deep in the soil. I wonder if that's not all going to be a part of the game at some point, where you do have to, some of that stuff you do have to adjust now. I think they may include that all later. Yes, that is correct, Fusion. Haymaking is now, It is extremely labor intensive. Oh, and I think if you leave it, the underside will never be as dry as the top. You do have to keep turning it. And it could be that you could get the bottom and the top both under 14% without ever turning it, but somehow I doubt it. It seems like that would be, that would just be too easy. But the different layers of moisture in the field grass is, oh, the whole game is next level. It's like everything we ever wanted in a farm sim. All the details and all the, like, the soil chemistry and the weather and everything has all been put in this game. Yeah, so I guess you have to, if you want to make hay, you have to look at the calendar and really find like a period of time when it's going to be sunny and dry. All right, here's the professor. What's he got for us? In good weather, sunny, warm, windy, grass takes 3 to 4 days to achieve the required dryness when tedded 2 to 3 times. Long periods of rain lasting several hours can quickly ruin any drying process. So always pay attention to the weather forecast. And that is, if we go here, is it here? Yep. Here's our calendar. Yeah, I'm not able to see temperatures. That's what I'm looking for. But this is like the weather throughout the day. But I'm not able to see temperatures anywhere. So yep, I guess if you find a long period where it's supposed to be sunny, that's when you want to make your hay. All right, let's back up a little bit. Let's just back up. And we'll get the field guidance set to the edge of the field. We'll get this field tedded. So we'll go right here. We'll get this started unfolding. All right, there's that. And we'll get this going now. And moment. So we want to reset that, and then we want like that, and then right about there. All right. Yeah, exactly. I have a feeling that this game is going to be, turn this on. I don't think I would ever play it one-to-one time, and you can skip like whole weeks and months at a time. It's not like you can just sleep through the night. You can get everything you need done and then make weeks go by. But I feel like the game is going to be where 1 year may take dozens or hundreds of hours, right? Like 1 calendar year. I don't think I'm ever going to play this at the same speed that I play Farm Sim at. It's just a much slower game. Or at least I'm finding it to be so far. Oh, you know what? I completely forgot to hop out and take a look at the moisture content. I can do that right now. Before we do this next row, let me do that. So we'll stop here, we'll lift this, set the brake, I see, all right, get that open, we'll hop out. So if we go over here, this is the row we have not done, and this one looks like that, so 67% on top, 74% underneath, and then the row we just did is 71% on top, 68 underneath. I'm not sure about that, Alexander. I think if the field is too muddy, you really can't make any progress in it at all. If it's too wet, you just can't get any traction. You have to wait till it dries out a little bit before you can plow it. All right, brake is off. In the last field we were mowing, we did get a warning from the professor to look out for like things that may have fallen into the tall grass. So I was curious if there would be a log or a rock or something, but there wasn't. And as far as I know, there's no way to pick things up by hand, so I think that may have just been a little, I don't know, just a little fun tidbit of information. I don't think that was an actual warning. So I don't know if you could get big chunks or rocks or things like that in fields. It's entirely possible. I don't know. But as far as what I've seen so far, I know you can get stuck in the mud, but no other stuff in the field. Oh, and you can clog the loading wagon, the forage wagon. You can clog that if you drive too fast. Yeah. Yeah, I think it took me maybe 7 or 8 hours for the tutorials. And the way they have it set up for career mode, you can play career mode, you just can't buy the good equipment until you do the scenarios, and you can't do the scenarios until you do the tutorials. I was a bit put off by that initially, but when I started to see the things that we were covering in the tutorials, especially the soil chemistry, I'm really glad they set it up that way. Because in career mode, I just wanted to start fertilizing a field, and I had no idea there were probably 15 or 18 different types of fertilizers with different balances of N, P, and K. I would have just thrown fertilizer on a field as we do in Farm Sim, not knowing that the goal is to, not knowing that the goal is to like balance the soil rather than just paint it. Yeah, unbelievable level of depth and complexity to the farming process. It's exactly what we wanted. Or at least what I wanted. All right, so we are done with this field. I'm going to do the last row. OCD says do the last row, so we'll do that, and then we'll head back to the farm. And I don't think it's going to make us ted these fields a second and third time. I have a feeling it's going to put us on the rake next. All right, so we'll go here, drop that. Yeah, it's got a really nice feel to it. That's what I'm noticing. And I've never wanted to play a farm sim first person till this, but first person feels more appropriate. I would like to tilt my seat a little bit to the right. I know tractor seats can sometimes kick out to the right just a bit to make it easier on your neck. I'd like to do that. I mean, I guess what I could do is just, right, put that right there. And then we go here, and we go, yeah, okay, we'll figure it out. So now, we're going to lift this, we're going to turn it off, right? And we're going to fold it. There we go. We need to get rid of this. Turn this off and off. And back to the farm. I did try to use Reshade off my NVIDIA card, and at the moment it's not a supported game. So if you wanted to, I guess you could do an independent install of Reshade, but I've been trying to use the one that's on my NVIDIA card just because it has no FPS impact, or very little. I mean, if you go crazy like with the depth of field or something, it'll pull your frame rate down, but I'm curious if this game will ever make the list and we'll be able to use Reshade from NVIDIA. Ah! Trying to read the chat and wreck the tractor. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you stopping by the channel. So, yeah, I'm happy to make you aware of it. It's a cool game, and I want the franchise to succeed. All right, so we will now we will set the brake. We will open the door, and I'm going to turn this off because I think time is going to pass. All right, so then we'll hop out. We'll close this. Close this, I said. There's that. Go to the house. Slowly make our way to the house. There we go. Now the fields need to dry out some more, but that takes more time. Enough work for today. We'll continue tomorrow. You got it. So we'll sleep through the night. All right. Oh, there we go. A neighbor's boy helped out yesterday and tedded both areas of grass again. The drying went perfectly, and you can now form windrows. The rake rakes the wide hay swath together into large heaped trails. We know how that works. So if I can, there we go. Find a cursor, get rid of that. Drive the MB track and the cloth liner to the first grass field. You got it. All right, so this is now, that's a little sideways, that happens. So we'll get our door open. Hop inside, carefully. Too many things going on right now. There we go. We want to start the engine, and we want this thing. All right. And it's a little cloudy right now. If I was making hay, that might make me, you know what I mean? Little concerned. Hang on. So let me swing this over here. Always to the right. Always to the right. I did want to use manual attaching, but for some reason it wasn't quite working. So we'll just hook these up from inside. Like so. Center that. And here we go. Yeah, it looks really cloudy. Oh, let's get this done. And I think we can get there back that way, but it does send us out to the road, which is okay. Check the calendar. Oh yeah. Yep, hang on. Let's, all right. We're continuing to slide with the brake on. That happens. Calendar. Right there. And today is the, what is today? Today is the 22nd. Looks like it's going to rain. No, it's not going to rain. It's going to be cloudy at 11, but I don't think it's going to rain today. Yeah, just clouds. It's going to rain tonight about midnight. Hey, good tip, man. I would not have thought of that. All right, brake is off. I'm going to need to get used to a lot of stuff like that. I feel like the game just requires it. There's so many things that I'm in the habit of doing in the Farm Sim franchise. You just do them, right? Like fertilizing the fields. Bought a field. What's the first thing you do? I don't know. Throw some fertilizer on it. And now it's going to be more a question of, you know, what does it need, and for what it needs, what can we afford? What do we have on the farm? Very complex. All right. Now this thing, when it unfolds, what side does it go to? All right. Once again here, put the rake into work mode. All right. So when we unfold this thing, I'm trying to see what side we want to start on. this side, I want to say. All right, so we'll come around this way, right about like so. And we get this opened right here. Reset. Does that look? It looks really wide. I guess we'll find out. That looks wider than our rake is. So we'll bring this over here, like so. I'm going to rotate it one more time. Yep. That looks about right. All right. So then we go back here. Turn it on. Brake is off. Is that getting it all? No, that's the width is not right. Stand by. So we want to open this up. We want work width. There's your problem. There's your problem. All right, so this is lifted. Hang on. Gotta close this out. All right. It was lifted. Okay, so now we'll back up. Reset the field guidance and start again. I thought it looked too wide. Yeah. Okay. So now we'll bring this over right about here somewhere. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Auto track is still on. Drop that. Yeah, that seems better. But I do think we're leaving a little bit out to the, it'd be driver's right. I feel like we're leaving just a little bit on the edge of the field. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. It's a tutorial. No, it's a scenario. It's a scenario, so they may or may not expect us to get every single bit. But we could always go back and grab that, I don't know, manually later if we had to. I think we'll be all right. Yep, liking the dust. And I did get a mod for a rake that's about twice as wide as this. See if that helps us out at all. Can't use it in the scenario, but we did get one. All right. There's that. And then right in here. All right, drop. Okay, that's working. Yep, making one nice big row in the middle there. Perfect. And it looks like they want us to do, as slow as that meter is going up, looks like they want us to do most, if not all, of this field. So we'll just keep working our way through. Yeah, I'll try some other graphic settings. I thought, from what I read on Discord today, I thought Ultra with all the distances turned down to 100 would be okay, but it's really keeping our frame rate kind of low. It's not bad, you know, I don't hate it, but I prefer 40 to 60 rather than 30. So we'll do a little bit more experimenting. All right, so there is that. I really like the sticky steering on field guidance, that you're not constantly turning it back on. You know, I want the good equipment in career mode, and I figured I'm learning stuff, and if this unlocks everything and gets me out of, I don't know. I mean, sandbox is fun, but I do want to use, I do want to build a career, and I do want to have access to all the equipment, so I figured why not? And it's all still farming, right? We're all just playing with diggers. I do that in truck sim sometimes. Anytime I start a new profile and it tells me I have to drive a certain cargo to a certain place, I get a little put out by that, and I have to remind myself it's all just driving a truck, right? What's the difference? But there is something about, I don't know, when a game makes you do things you don't want to do. Makes you feel some kind of a way. All right, right about in here somewhere. Yep. And then we'll get this flipped around. Right in here. And then drop that. Perfect. Yeah, I started a career profile. I skipped over the tutorials and started a career profile, and I would have made a lot of mistakes. The fact that the game is set up in a way that it doesn't force you to do the tutorials, but it very obviously encourages you to do them. I'm glad that I did. Had I just jumped into career the way I wanted to, I would have been making mistakes left and right. Now, eventually, I think I would have figured things out, but it would have been a lot of trial and error. So I'm glad it worked out the way it did, particularly the soil chemistry. I don't think I ever would have figured that out without a tutorial. And there's a lot of it I still don't even understand. I understand you can go back and do the tutorials again, and I may have to, because some of that chemistry stuff is pretty intense. All right, we're going to lift this. Yeah, the lack of multiplayer, I guess the devs had said that multiplayer would be in the game on day one, all during early access, and the fact that it is not has people kind of unhappy. I can't say I blame them. I mean, multiplayer is not really a thing for me. I've tried it a few times and could never really get a server going the way I wanted it to. So multiplayer is not a deal breaker for me, but for a lot of people, they really love multiplayer, and the devs had said there would be multiplayer, and there isn't. So we'll see how that plays out. And as far as leaderboards, yeah, unknown at this time, but I think that could definitely be a thing. And it looks like the sun is just starting to come out. If I'm looking up on top of our headliner here, up by the visor, it looks like we're starting to get some sunlight. Like maybe the sun's breaking through the clouds. You know, it's weird because these graphics don't seem very good. The textures really, the textures don't seem very good right now. But at the same time, looking at this field, this looks a lot like what I see when I watch videos of real farmers than some of the farm sim textures do, if that makes sense. It's like the farm sim textures are prettier, but less immersive maybe, or less accurate. I might not be saying that right, but I think it makes sense. All right. And I've been hearing that for years when people say the developers are giants. Like, have they ever been on a farm? Have they ever seen a bale in real life? So this is, I don't know, it's not as pretty, but it does have an accuracy to it and an authenticity to it that can be lacking from farm sim. Just don't look at that radio too much. That's very, looks like DayZ. You know, I love farm sim. I particularly love Farm Sim 17. I liked 15. I liked 19, but 17 is my favorite, and it will continue to be a great game. The way I'm thinking about this, and I mentioned this in the stream yesterday, I really like Project Cars 2, which is not the most realistic race sim by any means. And I really like iRacing and R Factor 2, both of which are very realistic race sims, but they're not the prettiest. I like both of them, and I like them in different ways. But they're different. There's nothing wrong with either of them. They're just different. And I think that's going to be the way that I approach this now that we have both these sims, or both these games. I like them both, but they're very different, and I feel like they're intending to be different things. They're not necessarily trying to be the same type of product. All right, so if we get right over here. Yeah, I'll always love Farm Sim. Farm Sim is, it's, we're in different places in our lives, right? There's good times and there's bad times in everybody's life. There's good times and there's bad times. And during some times in my life that were not so great, I spent many evenings playing Farm Simulator, and it was a nice place to go to, right? To be able to be on the farm and to be able to just kind of turn my brain off for a little while and feel better about things. So Farm Sim is always going to have, it's always going to be a very special game to me. And I don't think that I could ever not like it. Well, maybe 19. But the Farm Sim franchise it's solid. It's just different. It's a different kind of sim, different kind of game. All right, right in here. And right there. And I would guess, now I've asked this before and I never got a definite answer. When you're laying out a field, right, like when you're deciding what piece of terrain, in real life, what piece of terrain is going to be a field, do you take into consideration how wide your equipment is? And if you have a 6-meter something, would you make your field 30 meters wide, or would it somehow correspond to the width of your equipment? Or does the width of equipment correspond to traditional widths of fields so that you do end up with an even number of rows? I always wondered about that. All right about there. And these trees do have collision. The bushes do not. We've been driving right through the bushes, but the trees have collision now. All right, so right here, drop that. Yeah, I think we're going to end up with like half an odd row on the end there. There's a little bit of mist out there too. That's something that I haven't really seen in the game so far. I feel like every time I've been in the game, it's been very clear, but it's really kind of misty and hazy out there. You can see the trees getting more and more indistinct, getting lighter out toward the horizon. That's a nice effect. Nicely done. And our frame rate is low, but it hasn't gone up and down really for the entire video. We've been just about at 30 the entire video. All right. Let's get this lifted and see what the professor has to say. That looks good. The first field is almost done. If there's a little left over, you can go back to finish it off, of course. And as it's looking like rain. Okay. So the neighbor's boy is going to do the second field and then going to meet us at the contractor so you can get started baling. Okay, let's do this last row. Oh, look at that. Okay, it's almost perfectly aligned. Interesting. Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. I mean, time is money, right? And half a row, it's it just seems like it'd be a pain in the ass. So you would either bring the edges of the field in or take them out, so you'd always have an equal number of rows. And I've noticed that 3 and 6 seem to be a number that you see a lot in farm equipment. 3 meter, well, 3 meter, 4 meter, and 6 meter. But it seems like you can combine those numbers in different ways so that you always have 12. I don't know. I'm no mathlete. But you know what? I think you see what I'm getting at. That you would have equipment that would always sort of lend itself to an equal number of rows or an even number of rows. I didn't say it right, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, so we're going to lift this. We're going to turn it off. All right. Nice animation. Very slow. I love it. And then we want to fold it. I just noticed. Hang on, I'm going to turn this back on for a second. I just noticed. Oh, wow. Okay. So the tines, as they spin, they lift when they're at the back, and they drop when they're in the front. So that is actually animated in the equipment. Beautiful. I love it. All right, let's get this thing folded. Keep my head turned around here while it folds. I don't know where that dust is coming from. Just ignore that. All right, and then the arms come off. Those get stowed. Beautiful. All right, so we'll get rid of this window. That's gone. Turn that off. We'll get rid of this, right? We'll come off of auto steering. We'll get rid of that. We're going to drive up to the road. Hang on. Carefully get around these trees. And then we'll get to the road. Here we go. Let's go. All right. We can get out here before this car hits us. Fantastic. All right. Drive to the contractor. You got it. And when we get there, we're going to hop in the baler, I think. Now, I don't know if they're going to have us stack these bales. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not the best with the front loader. But in the bale stacking tutorial, it did let you do half of them manually and then half of them with auto stack, which I'm okay with, honestly. I don't mind doing things manually sometimes, but there are other times when it's just, oh. No, Fusion, they do not. And in fact, they will pull well off the road to accommodate you, which is what, in my experience, I've seen people do in real life in farm country. When you've got a wide vehicle coming toward you, you move to the side a little bit. So I have not had a vehicle hit me at all so far. I mean, it's been months since I played early access. I don't recall a vehicle ever hitting me in early access, and definitely not since I installed the retail version a few days ago. The cars are very well mannered. And they're going a lot slower too. All right, so we'll hook around here. I don't know this map. I haven't memorized it yet, so I just follow the blue line down there. Okay, over there. Okay, over there. Yeah, they are very serious about driving. Leon, I haven't done a lot with the helpers yet, other than the tutorial, but something that I've always wanted in Farm Sim is the ability to automate certain tasks like feeding animals, or I don't think you have to muck out barns, but feeding animals and unloading the pit at the BGA, things like that. I've always wanted a way to automate that, and in this sim you can, and I'm super, super excited to try that. All right, so last time it told us to park up in the center here, and I parked off to the side. Like so. I parked off to the side and the AI wasn't able to get out. So this time I'm going to park it exactly where it says to park it. All right, so open this. We're going to hop out here, close this. All right, our tedder is still making dust. Hey, no game is perfect. Drive the Axion and baler to the first grass field. And I also see we got this rig over here. I'm curious if this driver is going to follow us out there. Drive the Axion. Here's the Axion. Where's the baler? Oh, we'll find it. Drive the Axion and the baler out to first grass field. We want door right there. Right. All right, there he goes. There's our baler. So start engine. Brake is off. Here we go. All right, we got a little mistranslation up there, but I think I can figure it out. Check over there. The MB track just took off. I don't know where they're going, and we'll see if the little Class 500 follows us with the trailer. All right. And I'm going to hook this up from inside. I tried to hook one implement up from the outside, and it wasn't giving us manual attaching, so just to keep things moving, we'll do this from inside. Drive the Axion and baler to the first grass field. You got it. Yeah, it does look good. And in fact, I can, for anybody that hasn't seen it, I can pause right here, put the brake on, and show you what it looks like. So we'll set the brake, and we want to go, is it here? Yeah, so you go to helpers. That's not helpers. You go to helpers. Where's the helpers at? Here we go. You go to helpers. And, where's the tasks? Tasks, yes. So if you want to feed an animal, right? You decide what silo you want to bring it in from, what barn you want it to go to, you put a driver on, right? You tell them what vehicle you want them to drive, what implements you want them to use, and also when you want it to happen, if it's a recurring task, every day, what time of day. It's a really, really good system. Now, I'm curious if it does that stuff, right? Like if you actually see people moving around the map, or if it just kind of virtually makes it happen. I'd like to see things moving around the map. That's always been on my wish list for Farm Sim, that you could see farming activity happening, right? So if we walk out the front door of our place at 6 a.m. to get in a tractor and go out to a field and get started working, we see one of our workers actually driving a tractor with a feed mixer into the barn to feed the animals. Or we see them with a front loader loading the feed mixer, or whatever, however it works out. But I would love to see more farming activity happening around the map. And it seems like we're going to own all these fields. I don't know if there are any other farmers in this neighborhood when we get into career mode. like you have in Farm Sim, where different farmers own different fields and you can get contract work. Unknown if that will be part of the game. But I just like the idea of things moving around the map. Alright, so we'll make this big turn here carefully. The tractors seem almost unrealistically stable. They don't feel like there's ever a possibility of them rolling, so I have to remind myself to slow down for turns, because other than that you can just cut through any turn at any speed and it's no problem. So trying to drive realistically. Alright, and they said it looks like rain, and it is, I don't know, man, it's getting really misty and kind of gloomy. Definitely looks like rain. Alright. So there's our MB track with the tedder. Oh, you know what? Is that the boy? Is that the neighbor's kid? That's not the tedder, it's the rake. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that's what I want. I want to see other vehicles on the map doing stuff. Very cool. Alright. Hang on, let me read the chat. Okay, interesting, interesting. So there's some that are sort of virtual and happen like off camera, and then there are others that happen in the real world. Yeah, I guess that's a good split. If I were coding this game, I would also try to include it somehow that if something was actually happening in the real world, so if somebody was, I don't know, if you had a worker unloading the pit at the BGA, if the code detected that the AI was snagged on something, if they couldn't make a turn, all right, the task is not completed, but the AI is no longer working, it turns off the real world component of that task and just completes it automatically. So if your worker is supposed to put 30,000 liters of silage in the hopper at the BGA, and they put 10,000 in, and the AI gets bound up on something, it essentially just pulls the AI off the map and adds 20,000 liters to the hopper and completes that task virtually. All right. You take care of baling the hay in field 1, and then you can immediately turn your attention to baling the hay in field 2. Remember that the neighbor's boy is only just forming the hay into windrows in the second field, so it's best to start with field 1. You got it. All right. So we'll go over here. Make at least 4 hay bales in the first grass field. I don't think that'll be a problem. So we go there. Now for this thing. Do we have a work mode? Maybe. Pull forward a little bit here. I almost want to turn some lights on. All right. All right. And then we'll drop the pickup right there. All right. Something else that I'm wondering about is can you save field guidance tracks or paths, right? So like with course play, you can, if you use a rake that's 10 meters wide, your rows are going to be, what, 20 meters wide or 20 meters apart. So then if you want to go in and bale and stay on a GPS course, you can copy over the course that the rake used at 10 meters wide, even though your baler only might be 2 meters wide or whatever. I don't know if you can do that in this sim, but I always like the idea of being able to copy courses from one to the next. All right, so we'll get right about here. All right, lift that. All right, hey, thanks for stopping by. I do appreciate it. right down here. We have not dropped a bale yet, so maybe I made some straw bales in the tutorial, and it seemed like it was super productive. We were dropping like 3 and 4 bales per row, but it could be the hay is not as dense, so we need to pick up more of it. Really liking this first person. A lot more than I thought I would. I suspect this is going to be the way I play this game exclusively. And that's such a switch, because Farm Sim, I'm always in drone cam. Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for the sub. Thanks for the like. I do appreciate it. Yeah, different is the best way I can describe it. I don't ever want to sound like I'm down on the Farm Sim franchise. This is just really different. All right, right through here. With that. I'm gonna drive way out on the road. All right, there's one bale, and there's another one. Yep, so we made 2 so far. Oh, down in the right side there, about halfway up, you can see it sort of flickering. You can drive too fast and clog the pickup on the baler and the loading wagon. And the professor. All right, we got a warning up there. It looks like rain, don't you think? Let's not waste any time. My man, I'm hustling. I think we just dropped number 3 because that meter hopped up to 75%. And we'll just knock out these last 2 rows. OCD demands it. But I think our 4th bale is going to drop pretty soon, and we'll technically be done, but I'll go ahead and finish everything off. All right, put that right about there. I am driving through the little bushes. I don't know what else to do about them. I don't know how to avoid them. We'd be 3-point turning forever. Yeah, it's the thing about cattle and crops. The thing about this sim that we're in right now is it's very niche. I mean, simulation gaming is a niche compared to, I don't know, something like Call of Duty or Fortnite or Rust or PUBG or whatever. Simulation gaming in general is a niche, and then within that niche, you've got Farm Sim, which is even more of a niche. I mean, I've tried to explain Farm Simulator to people, and typically what I get is, oh yeah, Farmville. I play that on my phone. And it's like, no, man, it's not Farmville. It's a farm simulator. And it's difficult to explain to people what it even is. And then within that niche, now you've got people who, I mean, there are plenty of console players that play casually. They just want to, come home from work, crack a beer, and play with diggers. Good for you, man. That is awesome. And any way you like to play a game is how I want you to play it. Play and have fun. Any way you want. But there's a subcategory of us that want a realistic farm sim. So now it's like a niche within a niche within a niche. It's a very, very small potential player base that would be into something like cattle and crops. So this is definitely a labor of love. And the risk that you take when you make a game like this is the audience that you're making it for is so specific and so demanding, it's almost like you're never going to make them happy. So the game is late and it's not quite meeting expectations, things like multiplayer and some of the other features that were promised for V1.0 that didn't make it. So people are already unhappy. I mean, it's precision farming that Giants is talking about bringing in. It really is. It's like a burrito wrapped in a tortilla served in a taco. So I don't know if this game will make its intended audience happy. And I think Giants, if they're smart, will bring in things like precision farming. I think they should make seasons a part of base game. And if they were to do all those things, I think Giants could make a game that would compete with this for a much bigger audience. So we're going to turn this off now, but we're going to leave the bale in there because we're not driving very far. Giants would make a game that was nearly as detailed as this, nearly as nerd as this, but they would make it for a more broad audience, and they'd make a lot more money with it. So I hope that Master Brains can continue to sort of bridge that gap and make a game that is detailed enough and specific enough to please their target audience, but playable enough and approachable enough that a more casual player can hop in and have a good time with it and not be completely turned off by it. And even something like, and I'll continue to use this example, but when you think about iRacing, setups in iRacing, there was virtually no guidance. And the ability to set your car up was like a whole another skill set, right? Driving the car was difficult enough, but if you really wanted to go fast, you had to set the car up too. And you could buy setups, and it was still almost too hard. That's the best way to describe it. Well, now iRacing is including, when you go to a track, iRacing now has high downforce, low downforce, medium downforce, and they've got some specific endurance setups. So if you don't know how to set up a car, or if you just don't want to be bothered with it, it comes with a generic setup on board. It's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to be the fastest, but it will at least get you around the track. So I feel like they've made an effort to make the game more approachable, because iRacing can be intimidating, and it can be not fun, because it's so hard to be good at it. So for Master Brains to make this game approachable, for them to make it something that a casual player can hop into and just drive around and have some fun, I think that's a smart play on their part, as long as they don't compromise that core audience they're after that really does want a very demanding, very realistic farm sim. And if Giants is able to split the difference, that could be a problem. All right, make at least 2 hay bales in the second grass field. You got it. All right. So he's sort of got, I don't know what our kid was doing here. Our helper. I'll drop that. Looks like he made some lengths and some headlands. Now, I don't know in real life. I think some of these meters, like the screen out here to our right on the door, or on the window, I guess, I feel like some of these would have bus display or duplex display with information from the equipment. I'm just going to drive all the way out and then turn and come back around. So I'm thinking that because this is a Kloss tractor and we're using a Kloss baler, I would bet that in real life you could get some communication between those two pieces of equipment, like the volume in the pre-press chamber, and this doesn't have a pre-press chamber, it's a square baler, but you know what I mean, that you get some feedback as far as like what's going on with the baler, how much netting is still in it, twine, I don't know, farmer stuff. So I would like to see that brought to these menus here, because at the moment I have no idea what this baler is doing unless we go third person, and I don't want to. Okay, the professor says, now, where bales have been created, they need to be collected. Return the Axion and the baler to the contractor and collect your Aryan vehicle combination. You can, of course, finish baling the rest of the field first. We got 2 rows. Let's just do it. It's not going to be pretty because we're not doing these headlands. But let's at least knock out these other 2 rows. All right. So we'll drop this. Yeah, that's one of the big complaints about Microsoft Flight Simulator 20 is because it has controller support, gamepad support, and because it's got a third-person view with flight instruments on the HUD. The hardcore flight sim people are saying, oh, it's just a video game. And, I mean, yeah, if you play it on a gamepad in third person it is, but if you play it realistically with VATSIM and little nav map and a lot of the other realism, well, not really mods, but realism features or functions added to it, it certainly seems like a flight sim to me. I've got no complaints. You know, Leon, my two biggest frustrations with the Farming Simulator franchise are the bale physics and the log physics. The magical spring-loaded logs and the bales that they from 1 minute to the next they go from having no weight, no mass whatsoever to a very short time later having like infinite mass. These bales are better. I wouldn't say that they're great, but they're a little bit better. All right, so we're going to turn this off, and now if we go here and we go here, this radial wheel, this radial menu is amazing, and I love it. So we want now, is it here? Is it here? Eject remaining bales. That's what we want. All right. Are we ejecting? I got to go third person. I can't see what's going on. So we close that. It looks like that is completely empty, so now we can fold it up. Yep. First person. Going back first person. Just pretend it didn't happen. Yeah, I get very frustrated with it. Part of it is there's no perspective, and I think that's just, I mean, maybe if you were playing in VR, there would be some perspective. But for me, it's always been very difficult to judge where things are. Yeah, can't do it in first person. I can't either. I have to go out to the side and really like line things up, get the bale spikes exactly perpendicular to the terrain, like get them exactly 0 degrees, and then look from above and get it lined up left to right. I've seen people do it first person, but I just can't get the perspective to do it. And then when you add to that the tricky physics and the spring-loaded bales, I don't know. That's not my favorite thing. I do enjoy it sometimes, and I'm glad that the developers for Cattle and Crops have it both manual and auto load in base game. I think that's a really nice compromise. I would really like to see, well, like Flight Sim. If you want to fly, ILS, cold dark start, 20 minutes to get the engines fired up and get the flight computer programmed and purchase your fuel. If you want to do all those things, you can. You can also just hop in, third person, gamepad, and have a good time. So for any developer to make a game that is, I mean, I know you can't be completely hardcore and arcade at the same time, but when developers make games that can be fun for everybody, I really appreciate and respect that, because everybody games differently. And to be interested in a game, and not feel that you can play it, not feel that you have the skill to play it, or have that game not be approachable. I mean, if anything, we want these games to be gateway drugs. So if you start playing Flight Sim on a controller, just flying around and having fun, and that leads you to, if that leads you to getting a yoke and pedals and VATSIM, right, and playing the game very seriously, you're hooked now, right? One of us. And Farm Sim is the same way. You know, to make a game that is so intimidating that nobody plays it, that's not going to bring anybody into the family. But to make a game that is both hardcore for people who want it to be, and also approachable for people that are more casual, that is win-win. I like it when developers do that. Okay, so now collect the grass bales in both fields, and we do that with this. I mean, it's telling us to. Yeah, this is running. Okay, I think we're supposed to hop in here. We've used every tractor available in the game, in base game, for this tutorial, other than the Deutzfahr. All right, so we go right in here, close the door, right? Yeah, automatic doors on almost everything, and I like that. I think that's a nice feature. And now we can do this because we're not going to be doing anything dusty. So we can open windows, we can open sunroof, right there. And you can do that from the IC. You can also do it from here, right? And you can also move these things down to the hotbar. I haven't spent a lot of time in the hotbar yet, but I know I'm going to need to. And that's a great fix, I think, that they've come up with. Because, you know, in Farm Sim, I'm just starting to lose my voice. Hopefully we get done here not too very long from now. You know, in Farm Sim, you know what happens to your settings menu. Every time you add a mod vehicle, it expands your input settings out. So in this game, go down here. So we've got vehicles, on foot, UI, radial. And this is really all we've got for input. But it's like it bundles everything. And then whatever you're using in terms of implement fits into that bundle. So you don't have to have separate input bindings for every single thing. And your input binding file doesn't grow until it's like a billion pages long. So I'm going to put this, make this safe for travel. Brake is off. Look around here. We're safe. We're good. Okay. Here we go. Now it just says collect the grass bales in both fields. So I don't know if it's going to require us to pick them up manually or if we can pick them up with auto load. What I'll do is pick a few up manually and then pick a few up auto load so you can see the difference. Yeah, the game really seems to lend itself to slow play. It's got a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, almost like a dignified feel to it. It's like Flight Sim in that way. That, you know, when I'm in Flight Sim, I know it's going to be kind of a long, slow process to get the aircraft prepped and get the engine started. And I don't want to say that I'm used to it. It's just appropriate. For me, it's appropriate when you're in a flight sim that you go through those steps. And in this sim, what I'm noticing is, you know, things like driving back and forth and using the IC. It just seems very fitting for this game. But the hotbar, I think, will save a lot of time, and anything that can't be put down in the hotbar with the radial menu, between those two, I feel like all your bases are covered. All right, so we're going to turn here. Are we not? Yep. So we go right around here. I don't know what happens when bales get wet in this game. As I understand it, once hay is hay, it stays hay. It never like becomes anything else. But I don't know if it rots or what the mechanic is for that. And that is, yep, that's the BGA. Turn here, like so. Beautiful. Yeah, I've seen both on the Steam discussions. I've seen people that got their wheels working and other people that have not been able to. So let me know what you're able to sort out. I haven't even tried mine yet. All right, so we're gonna go here and let's see how we want to do this. You know, something I've not been able to figure out is how you select what you want to detach. So we've got a trailer on the back and a front loader on the front. If we wanted to, I mean, obviously we would lower it, but if we wanted to drop our front loader, how would we do that rather than releasing the trailer? So right now, when I press B, nothing happens. Oh, okay. When I press B, it drops the bale spike. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Why did it drop that? And how do we make that not happen again? All right, we're gonna need to go third person because I can't see where our bale spike is. So we're gonna raise that, put it in reverse. We're gonna back up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, so if we pull forward, that's B, right? And if we press B again, it drops that. How do we release from our trailer? And we can do it here, right? Can we? Now that's that. A moment, please. We're going to figure this out. How do we drop the trailer? Detach, Wago, D15, yes. Okay, so we do that, but I want to know how to do it in cab, I guess is a good way to say it. How do we determine what it is that B is going to release? All right, so if we go out here now, we'll do these all three ways. First person, this might be a little rough because, like I said, I've got no perspective, so just in the interest of keeping the good vibes going, let's go third person for this one. So if we go here, right, pick this up manually, like that, right? And what I noticed when I was doing the tutorial is the bottom of the bale doesn't seem to have any friction on the trailer. So we'll bring this right in here, lift it up. Right, like so, and then if we back up, right, it's like it doesn't want to stick on the trailer. So if we go lower with it, it doesn't want to stick on the trailer. All right, so that was one full manual. Just to make things easier, I'm going to get this one right behind us, make a little room so we don't hit that. Yeah, let's get this one next. So we make a little room, and what we can do is go to the radial and it is right here. So if you go up here, collect and stack bales, and I believe, now do 2. I will not. So lift that up a little bit. And does it stack 2? I think maybe it does not. Okay. So it's got 2 phases. So at the top it says collect and stack bales, and then over here it says fixate bales. So right now I think the bale is on the spikes, but it's still sort of loose. So if we wanted to put it on the trailer, it would slide off. But if we were to fix it in place, then it would not. So we'll do this quickly. Right, like so. And I'm just going to throw this on here without lining it up very, very well. All right. Yeah. Same as Farm Sim. It's a tricky physics problem to solve, I'm guessing, because nobody seems to have a good fix for it. All right. So we're sort of done with this now. So we can get it in a safe position. And if we go here now, all right, I'm going to go back to the radial. That's turned off now. So then we'll back up. We'll hook this up. And then if we go to the radial again, we've got this option to collect and stack bales. So as far as I know now, as we drive around, we'll go first person again. And same as the auto load mod, yeah. We just get it in the trigger and it picks it up. It's nice to have the manual option, but I do appreciate auto load. I'll use it. Now something else I'd like to see them add. So we'll go here and pick this one up. When we go to our radial, we've got an option to fixate bales. When you do that, I don't see any visual indication. There's no ratchet straps that I can see. So I'd like to see some type of a visual cue to know those bales are fixed in place. Other than just trying to remember, yes, we did strap them down or whatever. They need some kind of an indicator so you know they're not going to fly off. All right, so we'll drive to the other field. And now after this, I don't know if they're going to have us go down to the harbor and sell these or take them to the farm and unload them, or what we're going to do with them. And it could just be we need to collect them and that'll be the end of the scenario. I felt the back of the tractor get a little bit light when we picked up that bale. So I don't know if we could do 2 on the spikes without a rear weight. And I also don't know if when you're using auto load, if the bales have no mass, as is the case in Farm Sim. Where as far as I know, the auto load, oh hey puppy. As far as I know, in Farm Sim, the auto load feature essentially just makes the bale into a texture and attaches it to the wire frame of the trailer. So it's got no mass, it's got no collision. It just sort of sits up there. All right, it feels like we're pulling a little weight up this hill. We've got 5 bales on there. Feels like we've got a little bit of weight on. Okay, collect at least 4 bales in the grass field. You got it. We'll stay first person for this. So we go back to our radial and collect and stack. I can't tell if that was already on. We'll find out in a second. Yep. It's on. Okay. Yeah, I'll mess with the graphic settings a little bit. I feel like, well, it almost feels like a memory leak, but a very slow one, because we are just gradually losing an FPS here or there. It's just getting lower and lower. All right. That. Oh no. All right. Don't forget to secure your bales first. All right. So if we go here now, right? Oh, interesting. Hang on, got one more. It told us to secure the bales, and when we did, it gave us a, it procced us for the next part of the tutorial. So that was, securing the bales was part of the scenario or what have you. All right, so we'll go out here. Oh, hang on. Let's play realistically. We want this, and we want that. There we go. All right. I'll leave the back window open, but we'll close the front one. All right. I haven't flipped the vehicle yet. I haven't almost flipped the vehicle yet. I don't know if it has a sort of go-kart handling built into it. Puppy, what are you doing, buddy? It's making a run for it. I don't know if the game just has go-kart handling built into it, or if I haven't overdriven the tractors enough that there's been a possibility of something flipping over. The vehicles do feel unrealistically stable at the moment. All right. I think. Where does he want us to put these? Puddles on the road? I didn't even see them. I was so focused on my driving, I didn't even see them. All right. Get the vehicle combination out of the rain. I mean, can we pull all the way in here? Drive out in the grass a little bit? Yeah, to get it square into this trigger, I would think we have to. Okay. Time passes. Now, while the sun is back out, you can quickly drive the bales to the trader before enjoying a well-earned evening. That's interesting. That they had us, they made it rain, and then they had us come back here and just park out of the rain. Could be to reinforce how important it is not to get the bales wet. Oh, I will definitely take a look for that next time it rains. I was concentrating and I missed it. Can we? No, we can't go through there. We go through here. All right, and we are now going to, the only place you can buy and sell bales, as far as I know, is down at the harbor. So we'll make our way down there. I noticed the vehicles get dirty very slowly in the sim. I kind of like that. But the cleaning process is, you don't hold the wand and spray the vehicle down and it very slowly gets clean. You more or less just pull into a trigger for a cleaning area and hit the start button, and then you're magically clean. Not a big deal by any means. I'm not that nitpicky. It's just a different take on cleaning the vehicles. Right. Through there. Yep, starting to sort of know my way around here a little bit. I think we're going to come down this next little hill. That will put us near the vehicle dealer. We'll make the right and then the left, and that will take us to the harbor. No traffic. All right. Yeah, exactly. That's sort of the way I feel about the buildings. You know, the textures on the buildings and the wireframe is not great. The AI traffic when it passes you, the modeling, they're not great. But I'm not looking for a small German town simulator. I'm more interested in the quality of the farm mechanic and what it is that we're going to do as sim farmers. That's a lot more important to me than how good the buildings look. And from that direction or by that criteria, I would say that the buildings are fine. And again, if it keeps the frame rate up, I would much rather have sort of generic looking buildings and 60 FPS than gorgeous buildings that contribute nothing to the farm sim experience and just eat up a lot of GPU. All right, so carefully come around here. Yeah, a lot of this stuff, you know, these cranes down here, the scale is off. The scale is just a little bit off, and the detail is really not there, but not a big deal at all. You know, how often do we come down to the harbor and really take a look at how detailed the cranes are? Yeah, same thing, Leon. You know, all those little details. I just want I want the farm mechanic to be as good as it can be, and then everything else, like the town itself, that just needs to be as good as it has to be. I would rather the developers. I don't necessarily want them focusing resources on making a gorgeous town at the cost of immersive gameplay in every aspect of the game. I think they found a nice balance, and the town may not be the prettiest, but they've got frame rate problems as it is. So if they had made it pretty, who knows what kind of FPS we'd be getting. All right, and when we come in here, we should get the trigger and the dialog box. Pop that right up here. Now it says all we can do is sell. I don't know if you can ever buy bales down here, or if the only way to get bales in the game is to create them yourself. Great, now you can see a reward for the excellent quality of the bales in your account. You've definitely earned a drink tonight. Well, thank you, Professor. Appreciate you. 1000 XP, and we have also opened up now, if I can get this going, we've also opened up our third scenario Grow 'em big. This was part of the early access. I want to say I've done this a couple times. So we'll work on that one next episode. And then winter is coming. Cob Cruncher. And once we get all these done, then we can get back into... Exactly. Perfect town. Can't play the game, but it's a perfect town. So we'll get these knocked out, and then we'll hop into career mode. And once we do get into career mode, we're going to have to decide what we want to do. I suspect making money in this game is going to be very, very difficult. I'm looking forward to it, but it is not going to be easy. So this will be next episode. Might be tomorrow, but I know Thursday the new Munich Augsburg DLC is dropping for Train Sim World 2. So we'll be doing that on Thursday. And Cattle and Crops either, I don't know, Wednesday and Friday, or maybe just Friday. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But there you go. Thanks, everybody. I really do appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by the live stream. Thanks for checking it out. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you again. Same time tomorrow. Take care.